It's the 8 for 52 podcast.
Hi, I'm Bonanza.
G'day, Buschy here.
And this is episode 14, Buschy, of the 8 for 52 podcast. Episode 14, my friend.
Yeah, coming along nicely, heading towards Christmas.
Beautiful numbers through the roof. DM us on Instagram, of course. Everyone, we've had a few come through on Instagram this week off the back of my comments last week, which has been very good. Or you can email us, of course, at what's the email address?
Podcast852@icloud.com.
And haven't we got another ripper of an episode in front of us, Buschy?
Absolutely.
Really, but my favourite part of the week, I've got lots of favourite parts of the podcast, but one of them is going around the world, going around the globe, the 8 for 52 podcast. Where are we this week, Buschy?
Well, I want to talk about where we're number one and where we're not number one.
All right.
And firstly, in an earlier podcast, I mentioned that we were number one in Bhutan.
Yeah, which I'm very proud of.
And now we're not.
Come again?
We've been rolled by your mates, the gorillas.
Oh, no, not them.
Yep.
To lose to anyone.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose to the gorillas. We'll come back.
Yeah.
So we're number 2 this week in Bhutan.
Absolutely.
Right. So the goal this week, our Bhutanese friends, you tell your friends out there how good this podcast is. We'll be back at number 1.
Yeah. All the friends in Thimphu.
Yeah, Thimphu.
But I did want to point out somewhere we are number one.
Okay.
Taiwan.
Taiwan?
Yep.
Really?
No joke.
Chinese Taipei.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Number one cricket podcast in Taiwan. Who saw that coming?
To all our friends in Taiwan, welcome to the 8 for 52 podcast. We hope you're really enjoying it. It's absolutely fantastic. Number 1 in Taiwan. Wow. Wasn't expecting that, Buschy. I'll tell you what, all our friends in Taiwan, I'll tell you what, we've got this week, we've got all last week's games covered in the outs and ins. The ins and outs, we've got no one-day Premier League this week as we're going to switch to the Premier 2-day league, Buschy, with KCC and HKCC going head-to-head in the biannual 2-day Fincher Shield at KCC, and we will have that all covered, Buschy.
We will be covering that live. It will be on Cricket Hong Kong Facebook page, and it's possibly we're going to put it out on the KCC YouTube page as well. But
excellent.
Yet to be confirmed.
So that will kick off on, the first ball will be bowled 9:30 Hong Kong time, Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'm glad somebody told me this week because nobody told me last week there was an early start, but we've changed the start time this week.
Well, I found out from HKCC actually told me when I was setting the commentary roster.
Well, I told Cricket Hong Kong because they didn't know.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, it's at 9, originally scheduled for 10, but it is 9:30, so we will come on air. We're on Cricket Hong Kong Facebook and probably KCC YouTube at 9:30. It will run all day Saturday, all day Sunday, big 2-day Fincher Shield. Absolutely fantastic. The Premier League 1 day will then be back the weekend after. That will be all covered on Cricket Hong Kong Facebook as well. So, tune in this weekend. It should be absolutely fantastic. We've only got the one Saturday Division 1 match. And what else? What's in Sunday Elite League, Buschy?
Sunday Elite Division 2 has one match and also 4 big Saturday Div 2 clashes. No Sky Plaza Road this week because nobody's flying anywhere as we get towards Christmas. But definitely my favourite.
My favourite.
Not as, your facetious favourite. My favourite, Buschy's birthdays, will be coming up later on in the podcast. And also, we have a very special guest this week. Know my story, but we will be talking to Mr. Ravi Nagdev, the head of cricket operations of Cricket Hong Kong. You remember last week in the podcast, Botters got a bit punchy. So this week, Botters is going head-to-head with Ravi. I've had to recuse myself given that I'm actually the Premier League commentator. So these two are going to go head-to-head. Listen in later in the podcast.
And I'll tell you what, there's a nice little surprise for you within the podcast as well that you'll hear later. I'm not telling you about.
I'm not very excited about that.
You did come up in conversation.
No.
You did. Yeah, but we'll get on with that later. This is the 8 for 52 podcast with Botters and Buschy. Is it time to get on with the show, Buschy?
Yeah, let's do it.
It's time for Outs and Ends, a full wrap of senior cricket games in Hong Kong from last weekend. Here's Botters.
All right, outs and in 7 games last weekend. No Sunday Division 1. In fact, Sunday Division 1 is out of action for a long time. In-house USRC clash on December 24 is the next one, actually. And then the next match after that is February 13. Of course, in the interim, very exciting, Premier League 1 days are taking over, Buschy.
Yep. Game 1 was last weekend. It was USRC Premier versus PACC Premier. at Ting Kwong Road Recreation Ground. I called that one. And if you remember last week in the podcast, Botters,
Yep, mate.
you were calling the Infidels game down here.
Yep.
And I was calling the Premier League game for Cricket Hong Kong over there. And you said, we got to go head-to-head in the ratings.
Correct.
All right, so I did the numbers, and your Infidels game versus the Optimists, 583 views. Very good.
So far on KCC YouTube page.
Yeah. We got a bit over 15,000.
On Cricket Hong Kong Facebook page.
Correct.
With a spread a little bit wider.
Well, they do have 273,000 followers.
Yeah, so I reckon if we did pro rata, per capita to followers,
actually,
that I probably won that.
You're actually right, because KCC YouTube only has like 800 followers.
Yeah, there you go. So
you still lost anyway.
Shot the lights out there.
Go on.
That's fantastic.
Let's
Outrated Buschy last week. That's fantastic. But up at the game he was calling, the Premier League, we got underway with the Premier League, and PACC batted first, and an 83-run opening stand got them off to a great start before they lost Hafiz Khan for 35. Edisham, he went quickly afterwards. He went for 46, a well-made 46. Yassim came in number 3. He top-scored 70 off 62. Zishan, another national player, he also chipped in with 34. And PACC ended their 50 overs on 270. Kazanfa, absolute standout with the ball. 10 overs, Buschy, 6 for 45.
Yep, it was an just brilliant to watch live. Gaz just was in the zone. But I need to point out two things in there. Yassim should have been stumped on 25.
Well, really?
And got through to 70. And Zishan was dropped on 16.
So potentially the one that got away,
there's
right?
about 85 runs right there.
Yeah.
USRC turn, and Shahid Wasif was the first man out for 40. They've got a good opening partnership as well. They were tracking along the worm pretty well for a while. Wakas Khan came in at number 4 and managed 36, but no one else could really put meaningful runs on the board. And USRC were all out in the 45th over for 191, going down by 79. Now, in that bowling innings for PACC, there was a 4-for and a 3-for. So Alice Khan, 10 overs, 4 for 36. Yassim got a 3-for. So of 20 wickets that fell over the day, 13 fell to 3 people. Gaz, Anas Khan, and Yassim, obviously the national players, and rightly so. Good solid win for the PACC up first. Who did we pick, Botters?
Yeah, we both tipped PACC in that one, and we got it right, but it sounds like it may have been one that got away from USRC, actually. So, anyway, they get on the board with a victory first up. Then we go up the hill to Hong Kong Cricket Club, where LSW played HKCC, and if you remember, they played the week before in the Sunday League Division 1. It was the rematch from that Sunday League Division 1 game a week earlier where HKCC ran out easy winners. Well, I'll tell you what, it was even easier this time. LSW won the toss and batted, and they were all out for just 92, lasting 32 overs. Highest score was Dhananjay Rao, actually. He came in at number 8, and he scored 24 not out, 3 wickets each to Jones and Mahmood, dominated.
Well, HKCC went past the score in only the 12th over, and it was an early day for everyone. Although LSW snagged Rath for a duck. I saw that while I was commentating and went, that was the first over. And I'm like, maybe LSW are in this, right? Then Martin Kutsia did what Martin Kutsia does. 53 off just 27 and a 36 not out from Ninad Shah. It's a crushing victory to get the HKCC Premier team underway.
Yeah, I mean, we both tipped HKCC, obviously, in that one, and that... that doesn't bode well for the Premier League. LSW struggling at the moment. Absolutely fantastic club, but really struggling at the moment.
Yeah, no SR. And I was talking on the weekend that at least 2 other really top Premier players for LSW were either out of the country or injured.
Yeah.
Ehsan's injured. And on that game, Nezakat, he was injured as well. Didn't even play.
He's out injured. I'm not sure what's going on there.
And they still thrashed them.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're way too classy, HKCC, for LSW at this point in time. Off to Sunday Division 2, where there was a game, and it was down, as Buschy mentioned earlier, I commentated when I was available. Optimist from the HKCC played the Infidels. And it was the only game in Sunday Division 2 where they had to come all the way down the hill, the Optimist, to KCC for what really was a must-win for the Optimist. They batted first, and it was tough going early with a pitch, which I must say was inconsistent at times. Shiv Mathur at 3 and Melvin Carr stuck it out, and then they really capitalised on what I must say was some really erratic and inconsistent bowling from the Infidels. both hitting magnificent hundreds as part of a 199 partnership. Matur finished on 109, Malvern Carr 112, and they set the Infidels 319 to win. Well, I tell you what, Buschy, if the pitch was inconsistent early, by the time the afternoon came around, it was at times simply dangerous.
Balls flying around, ears of a good length, and then running along the ground the next. Infidels couldn't cope, and at one stage were 4 for 21. Optimist bowlers were tremendous. A bit of rearguard action for the Infidels. Special call out to young under-15s player Will Walsh, who stood his ground facing 58 balls. But even late innings half-centuries to Trivedi and Atiq Iqbal couldn't get the Infidels close, and they were all out for 243, going down by 76.
A special shout-out for Akash Shah. I tell you, having commentated this, he was tremendous. He took 4 for 20 off his 10 overs. He was just 11 runs off his last over.
Now, Botters, I've got some inside scoop. Now, you see, we talked about the HKCC premiers, missing Nazakat, but also missing Shiv Mather. Shiv Mather played down here against the Optimist, and I have it on some good authority. My source has told me that while Shiv played that game, he's still eligible for the Premier League team. This was a decision from HKCC to put him in because they knew perhaps that that Premier League game was going to be, as it was, a big win for HKCC. So they moved him into the Optimists to tie up that win that they desperately needed.
That's really smart, actually. It's really smart play from HKCC. Not just from, forget the competition point of view, just think about it from the time in the middle, from Shiv Mather point of view, and actually hang around for the Ravi interview, because we touch on this in a little bit, and how we touch on how Premier League might actually be restructured across clubs.
Oh, I'm excited.
Really interesting. Anyway, we'll move on to the batting leaderboard. Oh, just before we do, we both tipped the Infidels, Buschy.
Yeah, well,
we're both no good, my friend.
Shiv has done me in.
Batting leaderboard this week, Jason Lloyd, Dragons, 396 and 99. Mo Khan, 300. Ben Zanal, he's in third. Special shout-out for Atiq Iqbal.
I was going to say, I'm surprised he's not up there, but I heard tonight while you were recording the interview with Ravi that actually Dusty ran him out for one, and that's why his average isn't about 90.
Well, it's 65 his average, and he scored 195 runs, the superstar bowler from the KCC Infidels and Premier League team, and he's fourth highest on the batting leaderboard, which is fantastic. On the bowling leaderboard, Arthur Choi remains top with 12. Akash Shah with his bag last weekend goes to 10. And he's with Atif Fayaz from the LSW Knights. What's the table, Buschy?
Right, here we go. At the top, it is HKCC Wanderers, played 5, won 4. They've got 9 points. With that big win over the Infidels, the Optimists move into second, 6 points, 3 wins and 2 losses. The Sri Lankan club Lions are in third. They've got 2 and 2 for their 5 points. The Infidels really wanted that win, but they didn't get it, so they're sitting on 4 points, and then 2 teams stuck at the bottom on 2 points. It is Go Green Diamonds, Little So One Knights, and the CHK Dragons.
Yeah, it looks like the Wanderers, we're halfway through the season for most teams here, 10 games being played. Wanderers seem off and gone at the top. Can't guarantee them a spot in the grand final yet, but you probably can, in all honesty. They're up on 9 points. Infidels, yeah, Optimists needed that win, Buschy, more than the Infidels did, right? Infidels lost. Of course, they wanted to win, but they're still right in the hunt. They've only played the 4 games. They've got a game in hand on the Optimists, and they've got a superior net run rate as well.
I wonder, not only do we know Shiv can move between teams, but this new bloke they've got in from the UK this season, Malvern Carr. Yeah, he's being a bit of a superstar.
He is outstanding. He's a really great talent. He's from Birmingham, we understand. He's come across to a coaching contract with HKCC, and he's doing a fantastic job for them. Anything he plays in, you got to be worried if you're the opposition. He's going to score a lot of runs this season, that young man. It's fantastic to have him in cricket in Hong Kong. Let's move across to Saturday Division 1, where we had the Tartars playing the Sky Warriors. And Buschy, you will remember this is one where I tipped against the Tartars. I was with the Sky Warriors and you were with the Tartars. And the Tartars batted first, and only 2 of the 11 made it into double figures, right? Taran Lungani, 58, opening with Shah. Oh, he was opening. He didn't open with Shahi Samir, but Shahi Samir was the only one in the double figures. He got 27, batting at number 9. And with the extras, Tartars scrambled their way to 149.
Just like the Tartars, only 2 players into double figures for the Sky Warriors. Nanit Shah, 17, and Munir Dar, 22. Neither could go on and get the 50, and they were all out for just 98. A good fighting victory for the team. I picked Tartars.
Yeah, they probably shouldn't have won with that low score of 149, but they did enough, the Tartars, and all credit to them. Off up the hill where we're at the Gap Ramblers versus the USRC Lions, and Buschy, I tipped the USRC Lions, and I remember you gave me a lot of stick for doing so, and you tipped the Gap Ramblers. And up there, what happened? The USRC Lions batted first, and opener Syed Mohammed Nayaz opened the batting. He batted the whole 35 overs, Buschy, and he finished not out on 89. Mid-20s from Awas Mohammed, Hassan Karuf and Fayed Hayat saw the Lions finish 6 for 206 after 35 overs, which is a very good total.
Me and the rest of the world would expect Gap Ramblers to make a good fist of that chase. Easy. Jack Meadows open with a 54. You think it's in the bag. Adrian Lee, 35. Mongstein, 25. But they fell just short, finishing 7 for 202 and going down by 4 runs. A huge win for the Lions and for their season. And I still look at that game. I was watching it all day on Saturday. I don't know how the Gap Ramblers lost.
Because they got less runs than the USRC Lions.
Okay, I need a bit more analysis.
That's how cricket works.
Because they had it all in. They had it in hand.
No, they didn't.
And I've talked. I literally talked to Adrian Lee, who got 35. They're not sure how they lost. I will say that a shout out to Addy Lee. He got 35. He pulled a hammy halfway through that and was going the Maxwell.
Oh, good boy.
He was just
fighting hard for his team.
Just standing there and a bit of wrist work, but apparently it wasn't as good as Maxwell.
So it's either Buschy can just bring undone favourites with a tip, or Botters can get the unlikelies across the line. One or the other. We're not sure. We'll figure that out as the season goes on. Let's move on to the batting leaderboard. Anka Vashishta from the Yodders, he's top with 225 at 75. Samad Khan hanging in there. He's second, 196 at 39.2. Pranav Shah from the Sky Warriors, 183 at 36.6. Bowler leaderboard, Sky Warriors pair of Haris Mohammed and Devendra Singh. They've got 10 each. Then we've got 3 bowlers on 9, Dash Vora and Mustafa Iqbal from KCC, as well as Shelton J. De Cruz from the Yodders.
Well, Shelton played in the Premier League on the weekend.
He plays everywhere, Shelton. If he's not playing, he's umpiring.
Yeah.
He does everything. He does everything.
Absolute legend.
A little bit Niaz Ali in him there.
And you love pronouncing his name.
Oh, Shelton J. De Cruz is fantastic, isn't it? What's the table, Buschy?
Righto. My Gap Ramblers that I picked but lost are still atop. They've got 8 points, but now it's got really, really tight. We've got 4 teams on 7. It's the KCC Tartars, the USRC Lions, the Yodders, the Sky Warriors on 5 points. You've got the Nomads and Lama Cricket Club on 4 points. The Charlie Bears, 2 teams on 3. It's the Punjab Lions and the Pakistan Association Cricket Club Rising Stars. And down the bottom, still on 2 points, it's the Crusaders and CCC Jinsung.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, those USRC Lions, after that win against the Gap Ramblers, are very well placed. Just the 4 games on 7 points versus Gap Ramblers have played 6 and are on 8 points.
Yeah, and also if you have a look at that net run rate, the difference between the Gap Ramblers and Lions, very, very close. And also the Tartars, well above both.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really tight up there at the top. There's a real, 6 games in for some, 4 in for others. It's really got the makings of a great season. On to Saturday Division 2, where there were a couple of games. Centaurs and HKU. We both tipped HKU, Buschy, and they were first out to bat at GDB, and there were runs galore. Pandu Wawala. He top scored with 63 off just 40, combined with a 45 from Ashwin Tukania. He tipped in with, he was 45, that's correct. And another 3 of the top 4 got into the 20, saw HKU amass 8 for 246 off their 35 overs.
Yeah, 247 to win. That was always likely to be too much for the Centaurs, which proved obviously to be correct. A couple of low 30s from Koralaja and Nasir Hamed had the Centaurs fighting, but to no avail. A good score of 9 for 199 off 35. But they fell short by 47.
Yeah, we both tipped HKU there. They're going well, aren't they, this year in the Div 2? They really are. On to the next game, Lancers versus the LSW Leaders. This was at a PKVR Park. The Leaders were first with the bat, and each of the top 6 got a start, but unfortunately for them, no one could capitalise. 22, the equal top score. That was the opener, Thakur, and also Vivek Shah at 4. Asad Ashfaq, he just seems to get a mention on the 8 for 52 every week. He was the key bowler, picking up 5 for 16.
He got a Michelle.
He did indeed.
The Lancers lost Nair early, but Manan Puri and Panmay Bijur steadied the ship. Puri 25, Bijur 45 not out, and Asad Ashfaq, do we have to keep mentioning
He's everywhere.
24 not out, helping to get the Lancers across the easy line of 27th over done.
Yeah, both of us were on the Lancers there. Buschy, let's go for the batting leaderboard. Yaksan Rajan, HKU, he's still top 247 at 61. Tanmay Bajur from the Lancers, he jumps up into the top three. He's second, 216 at 72. Chris Ryan drops back to third. He's on 213 at 71. Special shout out for Asad Ashfaq, hot on the heels. In the batting leaderboard, he's fourth with 242. Speaking of Asad Ashfaq, for the bowling leaderboard from the Lancers, he's now just a runaway leader with 17 wickets.
Is there an award for this? What are we in? Div 2?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he should win everything at the moment.
Well, come the end of the season, he's right in line for it. He's taken 17 wickets, back on 12 wickets. We've got Vishnu, and also Sarungar. Yeah, so there's two there equal. Yeah, but he's 17. He's a runaway leader. He's having a great season.
He's an all-rounder.
It's all happening for him. What's the table, Buschy?
Right, let's get into it. The SEC Lancers played 6, won 5. They're looking good. 10, right on their heels. HKU, we say they're looking good this year as well. Played 6, 4-1, and 9 points. So just 1 point behind. The HKCC Witherers joined the USRC Tigers and Kai Tak on 7 points. On 6 points, it's the LSW Leaders and Little Saiwan Thunder. 4 points for the Surias, 3 points both for Laguna Gully and Centaur Cricket Club, 2 points for KCC Saracens, and yet to get on the board, CCC Hung Si.
I'll tell you what, this Sunday Div 2 table, it's starting to be a bit of a breakaway. You've got from upwards from 5th, you've got Kai Tak, USRC Tigers, Witherers, HKU, Lancers, all only lost one game. So they're starting to break away from the rest of the field with the big promotion available for them.
Now, Botters, I just want to say something.
Sure.
We're missing something from the outs and ends. There was a game played on Friday, November 24. Masters game, Friday Masters League.
People really want to hear about that.
Yeah. Well, not only was it a Friday Masters League game, 12th man.
Yeah.
18 overs in the field. I did all right, I reckon.
You spent, what, $2,000 on the equipment?
No, I bought that after the game.
Oh, okay, you bought it after the game.
I didn't have it. I literally brought my kids' kit here in case we were short, but I was 12th man for the KCC Knights.
But you had 18 overs out there fielding?
Yep.
Did you make a few stops?
There was no 4 scored against my fielding. I stopped 2 on the boundary, and I did a nice half volley pickup. Everyone went clap, 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 clap. Not bad for a 49-year-old. Well, 48 and 364 days at that point.
Buschy, we're not bringing Friday Masters League scores into the...
Well, it depends. If I score, we are. If I don't, that'll be the last time we mention it.
All right, well, I mean, you are the production guy at the end of the day, so you're going to be able to cut it in or cut it out, whatever you want. Anyway, that's it for Outs and Ends. It'll be back next week.
It's time for Ins and Outs, with all the weekend senior games covered. Here's Botters.
All right, ins and outs. Big ins and outs this week. We've got the Premier 2-Day League. We'll kick off with that one. This year it's the Fincher Shield down at Kowloon Cricket Club. Of course, up against the arch rivals Hong Kong Cricket Club Buschy. 2-day game. We're going to be broadcasting this, of course. Kicking off Saturday at 9:30 in the morning. You'll be on air before that, out in the toss, doing the middle, doing everything happening out there in the middle beforehand. And then it'll be a big 2-day game of cricket. Who are you tipping?
Well, first off, I just want to say Teddy Fincher, which is the Shield name, he used to own a cricket store in the 1950s, just down the road here at, we're at KCC, just down the road in Salisbury Road. In the 1950s, that's so cool.
He was an amazing, amazing man. Basically rebuilt Kowloon Cricket Club at the back of the Second World War and had his own sports shop. And just tremendous that, the tradition is continuing, I think. So who are you going to tip, mate?
On all of the back of that, picking Hong Kong Cricket Club.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I think just with the strength, we haven't seen the squads as yet, but the strength of that batting lineup in a 2-day game, after watching the pitch last weekend, I just really hope, all I hope is it plays better than it did last weekend.
Well, it'll be a 1-day game, right?
Yeah, it could be. It was dangerous at points last week. It really was. And it was just the new clay, and it just spat up, and it was just spitting off the wicket up and slow, and then other times quick, just totally inconsistent. On that basis, I'm going to tip KCC purely from the bowling side of a two-kick ball and Joe Davison. Purely on that basis. So I do it with no confidence. I don't know if Nazucket is playing or not. I know he was injured last weekend. If I could guarantee he was playing, that might change my selection. But I'll go with KCC without confidence.
Now, it's going to be a great 2-day game. We're going to both call it. You're calling on Saturday. I'm calling Saturday and Sunday. So if you're watching, watch online, Cricket Hong Kong Facebook page. Also, KCC members are welcome to come down. We've got a little bit of a beer tent going on as well.
Yeah, it'll be good. Get down to the ground. It's a really good 2 days of cricket. The weather report is absolutely fantastic. That's the Premier League for this weekend. For Sunday League Division 2, there is a match up at Mission Road on Sunday. The Cricket Hong Kong Dragons up against the LSW Knights. Buschy.
Leaders. Sorry, where are we?
Mission Road. Division 2, Saturday.
Dragons
Yeah. Versus the Knights.
I'm looking at my screen. Right, I am going on the back of my interview with Jason Loy with the Dragons. They're going to get their first 2 points on the board.
I'm actually going for the Dragons with confidence in this one. I think they'll win that up there. I really do. I think they will. And it'll be fantastic to get a win on the board, and they will do that up there. Saturday, Div 1, HKCC Nomads versus the Yodders. Tight game, this one.
Yeah. I'm always leaning towards the home team, so I will go Nomads.
Yeah, I'm Nomads as well. I really am on that one. I think, it's a bit of a clash. There'll be no players out, though. I think Nomads will win that one. Big weekend for Saturday Div 2, though, Buschy. We've got 4 games. 4 games, and a couple of really big ones amongst them. Witherers versus Kaitak up at PKVR.
It's really tough to call.
Yeah.
I will go Witherers.
Yeah, I am as well. But it wouldn't surprise me if Kaitak got up. At the bottom of the table, that's top of the table. At the bottom of the table, we've got Hung Si versus the Saracens. One's out at Mission Road Saturday afternoon.
Now, I just sent somebody a message because I think he's coming back into Hung Si for his first game in about 3 years, but he hasn't replied. If he's playing, my secret friend, I'm going to go for Hung Si.
Yeah, all right. I'll go Saracens on that one. Saracens for me. Hung Si for you about your secret friend. Find out about that next week. Leaders, the LSW Leaders versus the India Club Shiraz out of Cam 10 this one.
Cam 10. Sirius for mine.
Yeah, I'm the same. Anytime Sirius are out there at Cam 10, I like to tip them. Laguna Gully, LSW Thunder.
I don't know about this one. It's out GDB, right?
Yeah, GDB Saturday afternoon, yeah.
Tough one. I'm going to go with Laguna Gully.
Yeah, Thunder for mine on that one. I think Thunder will win that easy. I think you'll be wrong, and I think I'll be proven right next week. That's the end of the ins and outs for this week. Buschy.
Hi, I am Babar Hayad. I am a Hong Kong national player, and you are listening to 8 for 52 podcast with Borders and Buschy.
All right, now for listeners who didn't listen to episode 13, firstly, do yourself a favour and go back and have a listen. But for those that haven't, in last week's opener, we had a chat about the current structure of men's cricket in Hong Kong and whether it's the optimal structure for both the cricket's men's national team to continue to improve, as everyone wants them to see. Everyone wants them to continue to improve, of course, but also the next generation coming behind them. Want them to continue to improve and put pressure on the current squad. We argued that from an independent observer point of view, the current structure just doesn't seem optimal and changes could be made to enhance the game. We also asked the question as to why the game draws no crowds in Hong Kong, especially the Premier League. And we didn't really see a significant concerted effort to promote it from a crowd perspective, specifically to attract families to attend. So there's a lot more detail back in episode 13, but at a high level that covers it. We've had some feedback to our comments during the week, and we reached out to Cricket Hong Kong to see if they wanted to come on the 8 for 52 podcast to discuss these and other matters. And I'm very pleased to say Mr. Ravi Nagdev, Cricket Hong Kong China's head of cricket operations, is here with us to discuss these issues and many more. Welcome, Ravi, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Matt.
Look, now we want to cover the points we raised re the men's game, of course, but given you've been so kind enough to come along and join us, we also want to take the opportunity to discuss recent success of the women's team, which was just tremendous at that quadrangular, and also some of the work Cricket Hong Kong, China have been doing in the community. But if we can start with the men's game, if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Look, Ravi, just in trying to look at the game objectively, it's hard to see how having a Sunday League and a Premier League with effectively the same teams, with effectively the same players, is an optimal structure to continue the forward progress of the game.
So I'll just give you a little background on how I got involved with Cricket Hong Kong, because that's what you're saying is something that a lot of thought has gone into it.
Sure.
So I joined Cricket Hong Kong as participation manager. So one of my main remits was domestic game, as well as the development of the game locally. Before I moved into a general manager's role, and then I moved into the head of cricket operations.
Yep.
So one of the first things we looked at objectively and you are 100% right. When I came, my first thought was there's no difference with the way Premier League was being played, and there was no difference to the way Sunday League was played. There was actually absolutely no, in terms of umpiring, in terms of coverage, nothing. So why do we need two levels? And there was a lot of thought going on that we probably should combine them and raise the quality. But one of the reasons we stuck with it, and I think we've tried to evolve it, is we make sure the Premier League is now played when the Hong Kong players are in town.
Yep.
Now, just looking at it directly is, looking at the calendar next year in 2024 itself, I see 7 international tournaments the men are involved in.
Yep.
7, and each tournament is about 10 days.
Which is fantastic, right?
Which is
international exposure.
Amazing.
Yep.
But there is no way you can have a competition, or you can actually have more than, let's say, 1.5 or 2 months even, where the Hong Kong men's team are in season in Hong Kong. So therefore, to expect them to play a continuous September to April season is not a realistic target for the men's team. So then how do we change that format? So if we look at the 2 segments of Premier League, what we thought is that we can kind of squeeze in 4 weeks, or 50 overs, 4 weeks in between this. Now, of course, there will be times they're playing Sunday cricket as well when they're in town, and that's fine. I think Sunday cricket needs a little evolving. I think Sunday cricket needs a little bit of rethink. There are some thoughts, some ideas. Personally, this is just my personal opinion.
Yep.
I do think Sunday cricket should go to a first 11, second 11 situation, where the national teams, when they come in, then the best players, the best 11 is picked in the first 11, and all clubs kind of are moving towards that structure, and the second 11 plays in the second 11 league. And when they move away, the best players from Div 2 or second 11 move up and create a first 11.
So you're saying proposal, using Kowloon Cricket Club as an example, that Infidels players could move up into the Templars depending on their performance doing this. Positive? So that'd be positive?
Those, again, however, we do have a structure. One thing with how we define the leagues in Hong Kong. So what we looked at is anything Premier League or above is domestic cricket. So the All-Stars we play at the Premier League is domestic cricket, and everything below that is club cricket.
Yeah.
When it's club cricket, we want to it's the clubs who govern. They tell us what they want to play, and we facilitate it for them. So we have a cricket committee, which every club has a representative that comes in, and they pretty much have a say. We have a captain's meeting every year, and they have a say. So we do, it can be say as what balls you want to play, it can be what format you want to play. A debate on, Saturday Cup or Sunday Cup should be T20 or 50 overs was all decided at these meetings.
Oh, good.
So it comes, the environment at club cricket needs to come in from the clubs itself, and we obviously give our ideas, but ultimately as they decide, gets it approved at the cricket committee, which then is endorsed at the board.
So just on you mentioned the scheduling, and I totally agree with you that scheduling is the most important thing. You've got to work around the international commitments. You've got to provide the best lead up to the players or those potential players who are looking to get selected. So you've got these 2 4-week windows, right?
Yeah.
And it's labelled Premier League, and it's at a club level, right? But why can't, this All-Stars concept that you mentioned before has been introduced, and it's tremendous. It's fantastic, roaring success. Why can't that be expanded to take over the Premier League title and play those schedules as All-Stars?
So there are two main reasons for that. Now, before I move into that, I'll just talk a little bit about Premier League. So how we try to expand it. So what we tried to do with Premier League was obviously broadcast it. We have contributors from 852 also, yourself who commentates on it.
And it's tremendous.
We try to do the PMOA. We want to build up everything you said about getting more crowds in, got family publicity. I think that's one of the things that we need to do and we need to improve on. And one thing which I do want to say that, I've been hearing all your podcasts every week.
Thank
and
you very
it's great that, Hong Kong cricket is getting the coverage. And we are able to tell our stories out. And I think we need to do a lot of it as well. And why we cannot do that, whatever challenges are, we can speak about that a little later. But we will be the first to admit that we are trying to do probably more than what our team size allows us to do.
Understand.
And but we want to do, and I think that aspiration is there within the organization that we want to achieve. We want to do more than what maybe NSAs or organizations with 100 people do.
Yeah.
We want to do that in with our 22 people. I mean, I give you one particular example which I'm very, very proud of. A lot of people come up to me and says, there's been a lot of international cricket in Hong Kong in the last 18 months. We have had 3 LIEs, 2 men's tournaments, 1 women's tournament. We have had a MLIE, which is a major local international event, which is the Women's Emerging Asia Cup. We had a fair break, including...
Which was absolutely tremendous.
So, and we have had these many. So we have a mega event, a major local event, and 3 local international events and people say in 18 months. And I say, I had to remind them, it's not 18 months. It started in March this year.
Yeah,
it's not even been 9 months.
That's right.
And in between, we also had an awards function, which I was very proud of because it had the biggest attendance we've ever had.
Yep.
It was up a scale. We also had all our local cricket going on. We had 2 All-Star series, men and women. And a small fact that we also sent teams to the Asian Games and 2 World Cup qualifiers, men and women, all during this time, plus various tri-series, community cricket, indoor cricket.
Absolutely brilliant. All very positive.
Very positive. And there's a lot more happening in community-wise. I think a lot of stories that we run university leagues. People who go to universities in Hong Kong U plays HKUST, and they are official cricket teams from these 2 of the top 25 universities in Asia. These 2 are in the top 2 in Hong Kong. And it happens in Hong Kong. They play competitive cricket. They play it at this ground at Kowloon Cricket Club. But we don't tell that story well enough because we are slightly... And I think that's why we look at yourself, your platforms, and other people who provide coverage. And
you know why we exist.
Yeah.
And that is to try to promote the game in Hong Kong.
And we want to tell these stories.
Right?
We want to be able to tell them. And I think that's something which we take on board that we need to get better at.
Yeah, sure.
And how to let people know that all these... And even Premier League promotions, fully take on board. We should have started. Coming back, we had 3 events, and then the 4th event was Premier League back to back. No excuses, but we take on board. We need to get that, and we will. The passion is there, the impact is there, and the plans were there.
And the Cricket Hong Kong China is doing so well in so many areas, and tremendous. We'll talk about the women's internationals soon, and then some of the work you've been doing in the community, which is tremendous. Just as we're wrapping up this chat on...
But I'll answer your question. That the 2 reasons why Premier League can also... obviously, now, one thing which we want to get is more crowds in. And what we do feel that how do we get... Especially at the 2 clubs. The Premier League has played at 3 venues, right? The only way to get crowds in, and we have seen it in the finals, we have seen it crowds built at Hong Kong Cricket Club, at Kowloon Cricket Club, is when the clubs themselves are involved. There's a home team involved. And that works when there's a club format. It doesn't work as well because when you have, let's say, a 5-team, for lack of a better word, I'll call it a franchise format.
Franchise All-Stars format.
All-Stars format.
That's the concept.
So then because there's no infrastructure built towards it. A club team, a KCC, has built in from under-11s to under-19s. They have that following.
But none of them come and watch.
None of them come and watch. But that's the area. There's a platform to build on. With franchise, you need to create that platform. So I think there is more chances, a more opportunity to build on it. We take the problem, but the best way to get crowds in is try to build it through that platform where the Premier side.
But that's all we've been doing for 10 years, and no one comes. I come down here on the weekends, and no one comes. I
look at Premier League essentially in the last 3 years with COVID. that's where we started broadcasting and taking to the next level. We talk about following, we talk about overseas viewership. That's only happened in the last 3 years, only 3 seasons.
I know. I've been part of it, as you know.
Exactly.
And I think it's tremendous and absolutely fantastic. And what you've done in that space is brilliant. And you're taking the game out.
The next thing is to get people in. And we have seen, I remember seeing at least 3 Premier League games where we had, especially they were all finals, where we had crowds here. We had crowds at Hong Kong Cricket Club to come in and support the teams. The junior players came in and watched their home team compete. And I think that probably needs more work and more coordinations between the clubs and Cricket Hong Kong to working together. And I think that's one of the things, the notes we made following your podcast is we need to work. How do we get that? Why can't we have more stats, let's say reels on someone who's taken 5 wickets? It should be on social media. We have the platform. Let's do a counter, ticket counter. Let's work on who's the top run scorer in Premier League. X needs 20 more runs to overcome Y to be top.
But look, again, all positive movements. But I think if I get what you're saying right, I think the position is that you need the clubs to get the supporters. I actually look at it the other way, in that if you had the franchise, if you had the Kowloon Lions playing at KCC with a mixture of Bubba Hyatt, Nazaz Khan and Nazakat, and then some under-19 nationals, and then the players trying to get in the national squad, and it was an event, and there's an event here, and there's an event at HKC, and there's an event at Mission Road, and it's promoted and at a ground. Well, I think that's more chance of bringing in crowds.
I think it's a conversation which I will definitely be having at the next cricket committee meeting. My opinion, I think if it's a Kowloon Cricket Club versus Lil Saiwan or Kowloon Cricket Club versus Hong Kong Cricket Club or USRC, I think that has an equal chance. There is a fan base, I believe, or a following built in these two, rather than that franchise, which is a growing fan base. But again, I think, like I said, there's no...
Well, it's good debate, right?
It's a good debate.
Yeah,
it's a great debate.
Absolutely. But just on that, you mentioned Little Saiwan, right? Great club in Hong Kong, steeped in history.
Yeah.
Okay? At the moment, at a Premier League level, not competitive.
No, not at all.
Okay?
Not at all.
We saw. Used the example last week. They had the Sunday League game against HKC Scorpions up at Mission Road, flopped. Right. Very next weekend, Premier League, even a worse flopping. That doesn't do any good for the likes of Martin Kutsia, Nazaka, those guys, and it doesn't do any good for the LSW team, and it doesn't do any good for the juniors coming through. So there's got to be something there.
I think this conversation is something which I've been also having a conversation with the high performance team. I want to have. I mean, for me, also looking at a young Shiv Mathur.
Yeah.
Probably, a future star.
Absolute star. Today's star.
Today's star. For Hong Kong, a regular.
Absolutely.
Now, to me, I don't know what, I can't speak on behalf of, but if I was, a supporter, I would want him to play bat in the top 4 in Premier League team.
Yeah.
He may not get that opportunity at Hong Kong Cricket Club because of this very strong batting lineup they have right now.
That's what I mean. I made the comment last week, Kinchin Shah might not bat all season. Now, he did bat last week. He faced 4 balls.
Yeah. So
5 balls.
How do we balance? Is there however, Hong Kong Cricket Club may have a plan that, can they want to use Shiv in the T20 matches, but not in the one day. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing.
Yeah, no. I understand
that. How do we work? And I think that's a conversation that needs to be had, where maybe would it serve him better to, for the one-day tournament, be on loan to a team like Lil Saiwan, so he gets to, with the condition that, with the high performance, or the men's head coach says, he will bat at number 4 every game, irrespective of getting whatever runs. And I'm sure a club like Lil Saiwan or USRC will take that on immediately. So, but
to bounce around, what a tremendous idea.
But these are conversations. We are guided by a little bit of structure, but definitely, I think before you mentioned that these conversations were being held as well. Again, I think what it does, and you have to give us that once we do have these conversations, we usually try to bring it. It takes us a season to bring it in.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Into play.
Obviously, there's logistic issues. There's all of that. Absolutely, concede that for sure.
The second, that was the one challenge I said about the infrastructure. Then you have uniforms. Who takes on that? The coaching structure that each club has. Each club has a coach.
Afsal does the uniforms. There's no problem.
For all of the teams, but it kind of they manage their own. They have their own sponsor. They they can have. And the idea where we want to get into with Premier League, and we already do at the Women's Premier League, is we don't have a league fees for that.
Yeah.
So we want, but that the clubs who are part of the Premier structure, they need to ensure that they have a full-on junior to a senior program and a women's program and a full infrastructure there to warrant a place in the Premier League. And then hopefully that league is run through sponsorship, broadcasting revenue coming through, and the clubs then can also hopefully raise sponsorship because of these revenues and throw that back into their coaching, to their infrastructure, and to their development program. That is the vision. I would say we are in that vision. We are only 30% there.
Okay.
Women's, Premier League was one season only. This is the second season that we are having for the Women's Premier League, and
there's Women's All Stars as well.
And the Women's All Stars as well. So that structure's there. I think it needs a little time to gel. We had USRC, which was in the first 2 seasons or 3 seasons struggling, which now they're a better side. Now we're seeing Lil Saiwan going through probably the lowest in terms of competitor.
At that point, yes.
In the last 20 years. Again, speaking with them, there's a conversations that we as organization need to have with them and say, what is your future plans? Are you looking at it? And if it's a short-term thing that works, if it's a short-term, is there any fix or any support that as Cricket Hong Kong can provide to clubs, to solve this issue?
Wonderful.
But I think these are conversations that we probably need to have even more of.
And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We're not being critical of Little Saiwan.
No, 100%.
Tremendous club, steeped in history. They'll come back, right?
They will come back.
No doubt about that.
They'll
come back.
I know. They will be champions in a few years.
Yeah, they're in a position right now.
Yep.
The overriding point that we're making is there a better way above that club level, taking it away? So you do take the best of that Little Saiwan and work it into another All-Stars program. I like what you're suggesting, using Shiv as an example, as potential drafting into a club. We're not suggesting...
Drafting.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
We're not suggesting we've got the perfect answer, right?
No.
Not at all.
No, exactly.
We're bouncing around ideas, which is what you're doing here today.
Exactly.
To the table, and that's tremendous.
And the second point which I said is also about the ground usage, right? I mean, yes, we can have Kowloon Lions and all, but at the end of the day, these are private club grounds, Hong Kong Cricket Club, Kowloon Cricket Club. There's nothing more important than having a Kowloon Cricket Club team playing at Kowloon Cricket Club and a Hong Kong Cricket Club team playing at Hong Kong Cricket Club.
I agree with that, but I would say I agree with that at a club level.
Yeah.
Okay. If the clubs don't give access to grounds for the good of the game, as in if it is an All-Stars, if that is decided, it is in the best interest of the game, well, then you just take it all to Mission Road.
Yes.
Take it away from the big clubs. Take it up the road.
I think I'm pretty sure whenever we have asked for the clubs, they've always been very supportive, and I think they're part of of our structure. So I don't think that's an issue. But if we can have, that's why when I say the club cricket goes until Sunday, and then we say domestic, and when it's domestic cricket, we say Premier League is domestic level, and above that it's an All-Star, which we try to raise it. The All-Stars actually came into existence because of COVID and we couldn't travel.
Yeah.
But I think it serves a great purpose now where the coaches can look at it and divide teams, because if they want to see a particular combination or they want to see this young bowler, let him bowl. They want to see him bowl to Babar. He might be in the same club, but we want to see him competitively, and that's where it gives the value to the club.
That's why we say the All-Stars is just fantastic.
It is, yes.
But I tell you what, there's a big group of people here in Hong Kong who want to see more All-Stars.
Great.
They want to see more All-Stars. Do you remember that grand final, the All-Stars out there, where we were out there commentating? There was a beautiful crowd out there.
Exactly.
A beautiful crowd out on the left-hand side of the ground.
To be honest, that's great to hear. And we, the fact that there's expectation now from us.
Yeah.
There are people commenting about how Cricket Hong Kong can get better. I think that to me is one of the proud achievements that we have achieved in the last few years, where there are people who are asking us questions, because maybe 4 or 5 years ago there wasn't that expectation of it was just happening.
Well, we started this podcast up less than 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Now we're getting asked questions by people reaching out to us. So we're sort of becoming a little bit of a voice for some of the public, right? As well.
Superb.
Look, I think we've probably done enough on the men's.
Yes.
And really, thank you for your openness and your transparency. And there is some good thinking going on behind the scenes. Not exactly along the same lines as ours, which is fine, and that's all great. But there is room for improvement. I think we all know that.
The key is to keep having discussions. like I said, I was also of that opinion that why do we need to have these two divisions? But when we tried looking at it and playing around at what we can do and what we can't do with our resources, with the infrastructure we have, we tried running with it. And I think we have had reasonable success at the Premier League level. Now we need to push it more, and maybe it might evolve in a couple of years even
into that.
But I think we owe it itself to this particular structure to keep pushing, persevering it, and try doing what we want to achieve. At the end, we want to see, I want to see a Premier League final with a few hundred people coming and watch. Yeah. Be it wherever ground you're, not only KCC, HKCC, but at Mission Road or Tekong Road.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Let's have there. We want hopefully to have one more ground which has capability to host Premier League games in Hong Kong. So you can actually look at, in that period, maybe expand it to a 16 format where you can play 3 games a weekend. I don't know.
Beautiful.
It might happen that way as well. So let's see what the next. We don't know. 4 years ago, I never thought I would be hosting 6-7 international tournaments in a year.
Of course. It's
been brilliant.
I've got to say on the broadcasting, there was a few technical issues up at HKCC, LSW on the weekend. But as a whole, what you've done in the broadcasting space, be it Premier League and now what KCC themselves have done at the Sunday League level. But, you look at that Mission Road, what Pakistan, USRC and what was put out there as far as the broadcast is concerned. That's as good as you see in associate cricket globally.
Exactly.
It's as good as you see.
Exactly. And I
watch a lot of associate cricket.
And we do, and I would say our Hong Kong commentators are probably the best.
Except for Aaron Bush. Maybe Buschy. He's probably 4th or 5th best.
Yeah,
anyway.
But the rest of you guys are brilliant, right?
Exactly. All right, let's get away from the men's. Let's just get into the ladies for a minute. Just big tournament, quadrangular tournament held up at HKCC recently, and I just thought that was tremendous from a cricket quality perspective and an exposure perspective as well. Just like to get your views on that. Hong Kong, Hong Kong, China, I didn't have them favourites to win it, I assure you, going in. So just like to hear a little bit your thoughts on that, but more importantly, probably, what's next on the agenda for the women?
So, obviously, that particular tournament, it was a strategic aim to play teams which are ranked above us.
Yeah.
We wanted to be able to, and so the head coach Andy Cotton wanted also to play opponents who are just above us in rankings. So we show, not only proof to the people, supporters of Hong Kong, but also to the team itself is able to see that what we can achieve if we are able to put in our top performances or able to play to our potential. And I think that's what the girls have done, and they've made us all very proud. And also we wanted to move and try to play different opponents. We did. That's why Tanzania was a team
tremendous outside the Asia region.
Region. And again, we would like hopefully to get a team from Europe as well who are ranked in that range as well, hopefully in the coming years. What this initiative that's provided by the Hong Kong government right now enables us to host 3 such tournaments a year. And we look at hosting at least 1 men's and 1 women's series every year annually in Hong Kong, a T20I series. And the 3rd tournament, we will look at strategically which team requires that additional support or a different format support.
That's fantastic.
It can be a one-day tournament for men, or who knows, maybe a few years we are eligible for women's one-day World Cup, so we want to play, or it might be under 19 tournament.
Yeah.
So we have that flexibility with the thirds, but the key commitment that we want to make, and we have made that to the government, is we want to host 3 such tournaments a year in which they have supported.
And you got the support from the government to do that. One women, 1 men, and 1 flexible.
Depending on what the requirements of the year.
That's tremendous news.
And
that's wonderful.
So we are already talking about when we'll have the women's tournament next year. In 2024, we will have 2 men's tournament. We'll have a one-day tournament and a T20I tournament.
Is that the March? There's one in March, I think.
One in March and one in Feb. But we are still looking at one of the challenges that we do have when we look at these calendars is obviously we follow our calendars comes across after the ICC and ACC announce their tournaments.
Yeah. And they change them all the time.
And they change all the time. So it that makes it a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But we are working very closely with them, and we try to, and then the teams that are targeted also have to match, like playing who is obviously their availability as well, what they want to do, what we want to do, and what works to us, that what will benefit our preparations for a T20 World Cup qualifier, who do we play T20s against, or do we play one days against?
Logistical nightmare to work.
It's there are so many moving parts, and I'm sure you'll speak to both our men's, women's, or youth head coaches, and they will say it's just almost impossible, but somehow we get it done.
Yeah.
And that's probably why the conversations are always evolving. Now look at the women's. They'll be at Perth.
Oh, in Western Australia, fantastic.
Western Australia, yeah, and they'll be playing against top sides over there. I think really intensive working with different level of coaches. Andy Cottam will probably be able to tell you more information.
How good's Andy Cottam going, by the way, as an aside? Fantastic.
He's won the tournament. That's
yeah,
great.
Absolutely.
That's
what a great start.
Great start for him. I think it's again what we do with our coaches, both men's, women, is when they come in, we throw them right to the deep end. I think that essentially, I think, is every staff initiation. In cricket Hong Kong is you come in and you're right into
get on with it.
Get on with it. We have events team people joining, and you're in the middle of an event, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that I think that's the best way to learn, and you find out what people are made of as well.
Yeah.
So he's been doing great. The key big tournament for both men and women next year, and both will happen between that March, April, May period, is the Asia Cup T20 qualifiers for women and men. The women's tentatively is Feb-March period. Of course, we'll know the exact dates. I'm told will be announced later this early December. And once we have those dates and the location, we will be able to probably plan and strategize,
map out everything around it.
There's an Asia Cup in July next year. Top two teams in the Asia Cup qualifiers will play in the Asia Cup, so that's something which we aspire to reach. Again, the teams are Thailand, Nepal, Hong Kong, UAE.
To get through to the play against the Test match nations.
There's Test match nations, but the top four teams will play in the Emerging Asia Cup, which we did play last time, which was held in Hong Kong. There's also, there's talks of tours happening, a return tour happening to Tanzania. We play against different opponents in the African region.
Yep.
We also are invited. There's conversations to go to Nepal to play a return series with them as well.
Brilliant.
And of course, we want to host a T20 tournament sometime in October, November in Hong Kong as well. So it's again, and we're not talking about the other franchise events like the Fair Break and various other events which our girls will be playing in. So for them,
very full calendar for the women. Ravi, it's fantastic.
6-7 international tours again for both men and women, and we're not even talking about the under 19 men and under 19 girls. So we are looking at next year to revive that and have an under 19 girls tour as well.
That'd be fantastic. Well, look, maybe we'll get you back in the new year and we can have a chat about the men's calendar for next year, because I know when we had Simon Willis on, we spoke about that a little bit, but there's still a bit up in the air on that. So we'll talk about that next year when that becomes a little bit more firm. Just probably going to need to wrap it up soon. I just wanted to, one other question I get asked, and so I wanted to ask you, because I don't know the answer to it. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Has there been any meaningful progress on the proposed new mega sports park out at Whitehead, Marylesham, which is originally, we understand, going to include an international cricket field?
It is. So we have seen, they have consulted us. There will be an international cricket ground there. The Marylesham Whitehead Sports Park will have a full-size cricket ground and a full-size baseball ground there. The prelim designs actually been done.
Right.
We have consulted with us. They will also have 8 nets for practice facilities there as well.
Right.
However, 2024 is when they look at doing some costings and hopefully get funding approval.
Yep.
With the aim of construction, I believe, to begin in 25.
Okay.
So it's still a few years away, but the fact is that the government does recognize the need for a full international cricket ground, and that's one of the reasons why it's important for Hong Kong to continue to host mega events in Hong Kong.
Totally agree.
I think that's probably was Hong Kong hosts some great events.
Yeah.
And I think that's something which we are really working with the Hong Kong government and the Cricket Hong Kong, that we want to host, a women's mega event and a men's mega event.
And you keep demonstrate that you can hold those events. That just makes it easier for them to pump money in and build that ground.
I think
because then it'll get utilised.
There's a demand for it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a demand for it in Hong Kong, and it's a great destination. Everybody loves coming here.
Yeah.
We are compact, but people love coming here, and Hong Kong's we see with the rugby sevens, we know how to host event and we know how to have fun. Right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And there's no better combination than that.
Yep.
Ravi Nagdev, thank you so much for joining us on the 8 for 52 podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure. And as I said, we'll look to get you back in the new year, maybe February time when things are a little bit more certain on the calendar.
Thank you. And I think what I would like to also add is, there's some, we cover high performance or domestic cricket and events, but there's a lot more with Cricket Hong Kong with our growth in schools, our community side. We recently...
what about this sports for inclusion thing, actually?
Exactly.
What was that about?
So we had a indoor cricket event, and we had people from the hearing impaired hearing community. We had visually impaired, we had special needs, special education needs participants, and they all played cricket. They all had fun. It was
beautiful
playing, and that's what's the beauty of this beautiful sport is that it is so adaptable that can be played by everyone. And I think it's one of those rare sports that fits well in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is a society which we have people of all ethnicities, all abilities, all age groups. In that day we had participants from 9 to 67 playing together, having fun.
Wow.
And I think those sort of stories, again, which when I set up our stories, we need to tell that better. We need to show to the rest of Hong Kong that
it's beautiful, right?
That cricket is a sport. It can be played. I mean, we play here. We play at a great ground like Kong Cricket Club, but cricket is played in football grounds. In Tepo, cricket is played. It's played on beaches in Lama Island, and I think eventually we will be able to get all that and showcase all of that cricket. And I think we just keep working towards it until all of it, people in Hong Kong know that cricket is played anywhere and is for everyone.
Ravi,
that's the message.
Ravi, thank you so much for joining us and telling what's not the My Story episode, it's a feature interview episode, but you've told a little bit of your story and certainly the role that you're doing there. And look, you guys and ladies up there, everyone's doing a fantastic job. There's no doubt about that. We're going to keep challenging you as the podcast as far as improvement is concerned. We think things can be improved. We all know that things can be improved. That's what life's all about. And we just keep moving in the right direction.
Happy to come back, or happy for members of my community team, my domestic team, to come and have a chat, and let's have these debates. Let's have a debate on how do we improve Sunday League in Hong Kong.
Absolutely.
Let's do that.
Cheers, Ravi. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And now it's time for Buschy's birthday bonanza. A happy birthday to you. Oh, Buschy. Here we go again. Buschy's birthday bonanza. What everyone tunes in for, whether in Council Bluffs or whether they're anywhere around the world, but especially in Hong Kong. Was it Timbu?
Timpu. And also Taiwan.
In Taiwan. I can't believe we're going so well in Taiwan.
There we go.
Haven't even really targeted that market yet with the advertising. But
don't need to.
Will.
Big fans. They'll be really excited about this week's birthday.
Yeah, Buschy's birthday bonanza. What do you got for us?
As am I. There's this one.
What is it?
It's a nice left-hander, though, just like me. Bowls just like me.
Oh, here we go.
Bats just like me.
I know who this is. He bats nothing like you. He bowls nothing like you. He's really, really good, and you're really, really bad. Right? Who is it, Buschy?
It's Yasim.
You're starting to flush.
Yasim Mirza from Pakistan Association Cricket Club.
Buschy's man crush.
He's turning 33 on Monday.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yasim Mirza, happy birthday, my friend. 4th of December. 33 years old, and what a tremendous job he's doing for the national team and for his club team as well.
Well, he got a 70 and a 3-for.
Yeah, he was doing it all right.
And then just cruising along. We love our Yasim. We love our Yasim.
Got another one, Buschy.
Oh, what? A rogue birthday that's not on my list.
Commentating on Saturday, when I'll do a magnificent job with you under your instruction on Saturday. But Sunday, I'm unable to attend, because it's one Mrs. Botfield's birthday on Sunday.
Mrs. Bottas.
And that rules me out for Sunday. Family before Fincher.
Turning 27?
Family before Fincher, turning...
27.
Yeah, but somewhere around that. Maybe 28, 29, but...
all women turn 27 and stop. They're always 27 for the rest of their life. Well, happy birthday to Mrs. Bottas. She's an absolute legend. She's the one that told us to do a podcast.
She is. It was her idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely her idea. She said, boys, get out there and do yourself a podcast. And we did. And happy birthday to my beautiful. And I'll be having a lovely day. You won't hear me on commentary, but you will hear Buschy. And that's it for this week's Buschy's birthday Bonanza.
Happy birthday, Yasim and Mrs. Butters.
Hi, I'm Michael Vaughan, and you're listening to the 8 for 52 podcast with Butters and Buschy.
Buschy, episode 14. Sadly, from my perspective, coming to a conclusion.
Yep, great episode, like usual. Love it.
Was indeed. I tell you what, big games this weekend. The Premier 2-day League Fincher Shield down at KCC. Defending champions, they hold it.
They hold that and the Hancock, so pressure on HKCC, who I've picked.
Yeah, I mean, well, the batting is so strong, but I just think the bowling is a little bit weaker than Cowling Cricket Club, so that's why I went with Cowling Cricket Club. But it wouldn't surprise me if I'm the wrong way around.
It'll be the pitch, and we know it's a new pitch.
Yeah.
Now know it's going to be a brand new pitch, not the one that they played on last week, which is dodgy.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether the square is reflective of that pitch last week. Anyway, we'll only know Saturday, and we're all broadcast. It's on Cricket Hong Kong Facebook page. It's on KCC YouTube page.
To be confirmed.
To be confirmed.
The YouTube page.
Anyway,
it's definitely on Cricket
definitely
Hong
on
Kong.
Facebook. And we'll be covering the whole thing. We'll have commentators coming in and out all day, Saturday, Sunday.
You've got a whole lineup.
Yeah, we've done a full roster. There's people coming in and out. It's going to be absolutely tremendous.
And Yaz Daswani,
Yeah, I know.
the new recruit for
Cowling
KCC.
Cricket
Maidens.
Club. Isn't that fantastic?
She's going to come and have a chat on Sunday, I believe, so tune in for that one around lunchtime.
No, that'll be awesome. Awesome. Interviewed Ravi Nagdev, of course, earlier in the episode, and that was a great chat. It really was. I really enjoyed that. Of course, we made some ideas. We put some ideas out there last week and extended the invitation to Cricket Hong Kong to Ravi to come across, and he kindly accepted. And it was a really great chat. And as you know, Ravi earlier put forward a lot of reasons, a lot of the hurdles that they face and a lot of the good things that they're doing, and they are. There's no dispute about that. But things still can be improved, and Ravi knows that as well. So Cricket Hong Kong continues on the upward trajectory. Buschy.
Yep, good interview. Love it. You two went head to head. You both had your opinions, but got a great interview in the end.
Exactly. No, and he's agreed to come back on in January and February as well when the men's schedule is more set for next year. You will recall in the interview about the commitments the government have made as far as financially to both the men's and women's game in Hong Kong, and we're going to have a lot of tournaments next year because of that, which is absolutely tremendous.
And the new ground.
Well, yeah, starting construction 2025 is the plan, and that's not that very far away. So there's so much on the up for cricket in Hong Kong, and it's really, really good. And that probably brings us to the end, Buschy. Do we need to cover anything else? Is there anything else we need to cover?
Well, not really. It was pretty good. I love it. I mean, you can also go back and listen to all the episodes, which I've noticed a lot of people are doing now. I'm watching the numbers. I'm a number nerd.
Bubba Hyatt interview, is that number one yet?
Not yet, but only because it's only been out for a week. But it's getting there. It's getting right up the top. The top there, we've got Imran Arif and the first episode. Everyone tuned into the first episode with Nazakat Khan. But he's getting there. It's between you going off like a firecracker.
I did go off. I did, yeah.
And Bubba Hyatt, that interview, that episode, so 13 is going up and up and up.
I'll tell you
go
what.
back and listen.
A combination of me and Bubba Hyatt outrates a combination of you and your man crush Yasim Mirza.
Well, I haven't interviewed Yasin yet,
No,
so we can't.
I'm backing myself and Bubba every day of the week. And that's it this week for the 8 for 52 podcast. We'll be back with episode 15 next week. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye, Buschy.
See ya.
The 8 for 52 theme song is The Coin Toss from the band The Duckworth-Lewis Method. Find them on Apple iTunes and YouTube and download that song and all their other cricket-related music.
The 8 for 52 podcast is edited, produced and published by Matt Botfield and Aaron Bush for Trip Ahead Limited. Copyright 2023.
I think I'll go in for a bat, and that's that.